what exactly are the qualities of the person being directed in this spiritual journey of Christian perfection? Of course, there are those qualities which are mainly concerned or which are aimed at making the nature of the the nature of the spiritual direction effective. And there are those qualities of a spiritual directee which are aimed at making the relationship between himself or herself with the spiritual director conducive. Now, as far as the nature of the spiritual direction, the spiritual directee needs the following qualities. First of all, sincerity. Why sincerity? Sincerity means he is open enough to show everything, to tell everything about himself or herself, which means that he will be able to help the director to fulfill his duty of knowing the spiritual directive. Obedience. Now let us speak about obedience. Obedience here implies that a person who is being directed should be docile. Docility should be a person who can be taught something and who can obey what is being taught. And also here there is a point of the vow of obedience. As far as obedience is concerned, the vow of obedience is not highly encouraged, because it might happen that the person concerned or the person being directed needs to change the spiritual director. And what if he has paid the vow of obedience to him? It might be difficult. So the encouragement is this: if a person needs to make the vow of obedience and he has just resisted all the opposition against it, that vow should be of short duration, and it's the one which can be revoked, and it should be done by the person who is in normal condition. Those are the conditions. And also we speak of perseverance. Perseverance is the third quality that a spiritual director should have. This means that he should be constant in the spiritual life, constant in observing the means for spiritual life, spiritual growth, and constant in sticking to one spiritual director. Spiritual direction shouldn't be the matter of changing spiritual directors every time. Now and then, at this time you have this one, another time you have the other one. This is not the affair. This is not the business of just taking the person one and experiencing many people. No. Just take one and continue with that till the end. Perseverance is highly encouraged. Discretion. Discretion means that this person who is being directed should be able to observe silence concerning the spiritual director and concerning all the matters of spiritual direction that is taking place between him and the other person, and between him or her and the spiritual director. Now, discretion, perseverance, obedience, sincerity are the four qualities which are necessary for the effectiveness of the nature of the spiritual direction. But above all, there are also those qualities which are for the effectiveness of the relationship between the spiritual director and the spiritual directee. First of all, respect. Here, when we speak about respect, it means the spiritual directee should be able to see the director, the spiritual director, as the representative of God, the person sent by God for him or her to be directed to him, to God himself. And by so saying, he or she, when he sees the defects of the spiritual director, it should not be those defects should not be should not promote or become an occasion for this person being directed to disrespect the spiritual director. And this is necessary for obedience. Obedience to him, to the spiritual director. Now let us talk about, that's about respect. The second quality which is needed to maintain the relationship between the spiritual director and the directee is confidence. Fear is highly forbidden. The spiritual directee should not be timid, because if he is timid, he or she will not be able to tell the truth about himself, fearing. And if he cannot expose himself to be known to the spiritual director, hence the spiritual director will fail to just fulfill his duty of knowing him or her, so as to correct his defects and control his spiritual life above all, and instruct him or her. That's important. And the third and the last is about supernatural love. The spiritual directee should be capable of the supernatural love, which means he shouldn't involve any sensualities or concupiscences, anything which distorts the love of God shouldn't be involved there, because it can easily lead the person who is being directed towards evil and not towards holiness. Towards evil, not towards holiness. So life should be directed towards God. If you love your spiritual director, you should love him for the sake of God. In your heart, thanking God that, oh, thank you, God, for this person. Otherwise, any human inclinations, if are cultivated within the spiritual direction, they can easily make a person being directed abandon the way towards holiness. Thank you for watching, and I wish you all the best.